what happened in Bafang, what happened in Linde, what happened in Bonamusa, and so when you make those kind of pronouncements, you are inciting violence, and this is just one of the reasons why we want to keep low and wait for the Constitutional Council that is fully habilitated to pronounce the winner of the election. And you are asking about how this can jeopardize, and already we have seen how it has jeopardized, because what many people have already carried in their minds is the fact that it is Lisa Chiroma who has won. Of course, I'm also of the opinion that his strides were great, but I actually hold my breath to think that he is not supposed already to announce that he is the winner. Well, this is also because there is no trust in the electoral process in Cameroon. People do not seem to trust the Constitutional Council. You heard about how results have already been doctored. Every day we are receiving complaints of how results that are being changed, are being doctored, results are being changed from the original result to what other people would like to see. So I think that it is just like a way, it's a preemptive kind of action from Issa Chiroma to let the powers that be know that he knows that his strides were great, and he knows that he actually performed well in the election. But this is a common thing in Africa.
Addressing and making all trances, which actually are problematic.
Exactly, and that is exactly what I'm saying. And I usually say that no political ambition of any politician is worth a drop of blood of any Cameroonian. Because what you are seeing here is all these utterances are like inciting people to get to the street. And I don't think that any drop of blood of any Cameroonian is worth all of those. We enjoy the peace. We enjoy the peace, even though it is said that you can't eat an omelette without cracking the egg. But I think that sometimes there is a way politicians have to think about the safety of the electorate too before making their pronouncement. Because Absolutely. What we have had already in the past few days, I think that if it continues the way it continues, Cameroon is going to plunge itself into a very, very difficult situation, which is very, very imminent. I'm seeing that coming with all of these pronouncements.
And that is what we're trying to avoid, given that the nation stands at the epicenter, the bedrock of the Central African sub-region. We look at the ramifications of that. Everything, okay, we're going back to Dr. Elijah ENOAKU, still to analyze on the ramifications of Chiroma's early election claim. In your own perspective, do you think that this was the right move, and how probably the turnout of this declaration has polarized the political sphere of the Republic of Cameroon?
Clarisse, give me a moment. Let me go back a little bit and answer the question that you asked the other panelists, so that we have equal time and also deliberate on this issue. Absolutely. One of the reasons why Cameroonians took to the polls more than we've seen before, there's so many reasons. But number one, Cameroonians have been watching what has been happening all across Africa. Whether it's through coup d'etat, whether it's through peaceful elections, Cameroonians have been watching that even within the Central African region, we have a change of power in Gabon. It went through a coup d'etat and then elections. Even in Congo, we have, even if it's not a change of power, we have a transition from one system to the other, and we have people asking for a change. Even in Chad, we saw what is happening in Chad and so on. In Central Africa, we have what is happening in Central Africa. In Mali, we see what is happening in Mali. In Burkina Faso, we see what is happening in Burkina Faso. Cameroonians have said, okay, we have decided that we are not going to go through the way of a coup d'etat. We are asking for a change peacefully through the ballot box. And if you look at the index, of where Cameroon places itself on any economic metric, it is telling you that Cameroonians are tired and they want something. They want something new. Now, that is what has driven a lot of Cameroonians to the polls to say, this is not the road that Cameroon want to take. We want something new. We want a change in Cameroon. And they flocked to the polls. We saw people in the polls as early as 7 o'clock in the morning. Here in the Western world, we saw people encircle the embassy so early because they wanted to cast their vote and they were ready to defend their vote. So Cameroonians are hungry for a different dimension in the country. Now, Coming to the issue of Issa Chiroma Bakari, I want to clarify Cameroonians to understand that there's a difference between declaring a winner and announcing the trends in the polls. There shouldn't be a criminalization of people saying, what I see in the polls, I am leading in the polls, and I believe that if all the results are counted and the elections is free and fair, I would win. That should not be a criminal matter. If you see here all over Africa, when elections are coming out, when the results of elections are coming out, people say, they look at the tendencies, they look at the statistics, they look at everything that's coming in, they said, we believe that we're in the lead and we believe that we're going to win. And that shouldn't be a criminal matter. It is only a criminal matter because you have a country that elections are organized and you have close to about 2 weeks or 3 weeks for people to tally that election. For a country that has close to just about 30,000 polling stations and about 182 subdivisions, where every subdivision has a village, and in that village there is a polling station. Why should it take this long for elections to be collected together and results to be announced? It is because you have a country that is draconian with laws that are intentionally put in place to fake and rig elections. So what are you in with? What are you giving? What other route that was the opposition or whoever is campaigning has? He has to make sure that he can tell the people, he can communicate to his people that they should defend their vote. Yes, nobody on this station, including me, including you, is calling for violence. Nobody. We want peace in Cameroon, we want tranquility in our nation, but at the same time, they say that if injustice becomes the law, resistance becomes the duty of the people. Because you're not going to expect Cameroonians to stand idle. We have seen over and over people changing results that came out clearly. People changing all those things. We've seen that.
Let me interject a little bit with this question. This is somehow problematic because we are still in a pre-election results era. To note that it was not just some sort of predictions from the one of the candidates saying that, okay, with the results from the counting polling stations, I think I'm taking the lead. But then you see that it's somehow polarized into a campaign that has been widespread across the national territory, which has caused also some, positions or situations of uncertainty. We are talking about the situations that happened in Chang. We're looking at Bafoussam. We're looking at Douala, the North even, and other acts which can be interpreted as incitement or insurrections. Can we actually see that as something which is not undermining the peace that all of us are looking for?
Very good, Clarisse. You asked the right question. But let us put a square hole in a square peg. What happened in Chang is that members of EKANE and members of the government were trying to change the result of an election. And we have a member of that board that withstood that changing of election, and that's fraud, and the people took to the streets to protest. What happened in Douala? It was very similar, that people are protesting the changing of results. It's got nothing to do with Issa Chiroma proclaiming himself as the presidential winner. It is because people want to stand and defend their votes, and they have the right to defend their vote. Yes, we're not calling for violence. Yes, we're not calling for burning of houses. Yes, we're not calling, oh no, we are not calling for any of that. But you and the aspirations of Cameroonians is very hard. People are fed up with what's going on in the country. And seeing that their results, what they voted for, is tactically being fortified to give the incumbent a victory, you are not going to resist, you are going to push the people down from defending their vote. That's what's happening. So it is some sort of a preemptive strike to prevent fraud from happening. Yes, I say again, no, we do not condone any violence, neither do we condone burning. But you are not going to allow people to sit down and see the results of their vote being changed, and they say, yes, we are waiting for the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council that people already know who they are. People already know what they have been doing. So you are not going to ask the people to just sit quietly and wait for the Constitutional Council, because if the results are falsified at the level of the divisions and subdivisions and so on, the Electoral Council or the Constitutional Council is just going to proclaim the falsified result. So therefore, they have to resist what's happening on the ground, not because Issa Chiroma has already proclaimed himself as the winner. It is because of the fraud that's happening on the ground that people are resisting that fraud. The aspiration of Cameroon is very, very important. I want to draw attention of those in power to know that this country is going down the drain. And if we are going to suffer, we're going to suffer together. If the economic crisis is going to affect everybody, if there's chaos in Cameroon, it's going to affect everybody. Look at what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest. Do we want another Northwest and Southwest happening in the other regions of Cameroon? Of course not. So all the politicians that are trying to fraud and change the result of election should be aware of what they are trying to do.
Okay, we are going to come back. It's indeed a complex situation for the Republic of Cameroon. And with this, we are going to ask this question to ALAIN-RUCH. Is Cameroon trapped in its own political web? When we look at all of that is happening at the moment, pre-election victory proclamation from Issa Chiroma Bakary, and then the reaction from the millions of voters, and the clear evidences that we have pertaining election fraud. How can we analyze this in line with the internal political dynamics of the Republic of Cameroon, and what is the way forward?
Thank you, Clarisse. I hope you can hear me now.
Sure, sir.
I'm sorry for what happened earlier. Yeah, I don't know if it was from your side or mine. However, I listened from the perspective of law. First thing first, we need to see what does the law say in terms of election, because all the participants, all the candidates sign an agreement onto how they will go about the whole process till the end, and they cannot break it. Now, how does it go? People sign that only the Constitutional Court can proclaim the result. Unfortunately, the person who is supposed to, according to himself, to be one of the favorites, cannot go against the law that we are facing right now, because by itself proclaiming himself a winner, and later telling people that he is still awaiting the results from the polling station. What does that mean? He was just taking a chance. Because if you are sure that you have had enough people on the site to count for you, to represent you, your interest will not be in any sort of danger. But now, that's true. We will put it aside because it's something that already happened. We can't go back to it. What happened in Chang 2 came to indicate that the Cameroonians' opposition, most of the time, they are not intelligent enough to know what is the danger of what they are doing. If you believe that you have won somewhere in a particular area, and you go there and steal the PV of your own victory and put it out of the system, you have nullified your own victory in that particular place. That's the law. Because only the PV that came from Elecam should be accepted by the Constitutional Council. They could have gone there to verify, maybe take a picture of it, because all the so there is no way you can sign a PV and somebody else comes and say the PV you have signed has a different result from the one that you have. It's not possible.
It is.
I have seen samples of PV.
I don't know what Dr. Alain is talking about.
Were shooting the pictures of it and sent to me.
It is.
Many people were sending the pictures of PV to me, explaining to me through those PV that Chiroma has 1 year. Yeah. Chiroma has 1 year, and Chiroma to be taken to elect to what they call to the Constitutional Council later. And why do they wait for 15 days? Because there is a kind of electoral dispute that needs to take place. People have concern. People have written to reserve their right to pursue the matter further after the election because they have observed some irregularity and everything. So what is the case? Would they resolve that kind of issue after the proclamation of results, or will they resolve that before the proclamation? But I believe they have to do it before, so that the person who is proclaimed winner, they know that they have at least taken knowledge of everything and assessed all the matters and come to a conclusion before proclaiming a result. In many other places, people will complain, but they will not consider it. They will proclaim the result and then go through the process to check who was right or who was wrong, and most of the time it does not affect the result anymore. The proof is we have never seen any country where they proclaim somebody elected and after they say, no, it was a mistake. We have seen that they were fraud this way and this way. They don't do that. So why would we want to rush towards a result before dealing with the dispute when we can easily deal with dispute and reach a result?
Okay.
Let me stay with you, Mr. ALAIN-RUCH. Why we're asking the question is because of the evidences that we found as a result of, you know, of fraud in some polling stations that we mentioned that in our preamble. And according to the analysis presented already by the co-panelists, there are evidences or previous evidences of such cases of fraud, and that is where we want to ask this question, you know, the place of law, and then Cameroon's internal political tactics, which are actually largely has a negative connotation as per the critics, and where we find ourselves at this juncture. Do you think there is need to follow the right trajectory with the evidences at hand? ALAIN-RUCH?
You see, Clarisse, the evidence is something. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, please.
Can you hear me, Clarisse?
Sure, sure.
Okay. In law, there is something that is called the law of evidence. If you have the proof that somebody has defrauded the results of the election in your area, you have the possibility to first refuse to sign the report of the voting of the polling station unless you write in it as your own remark. And when you do so, that same report will reach the Constitutional Court with that remark. Because when you do so, you have a copy you go back with. There is no need to fight over it because you cannot decide. You just have to make your observation and you say, on this particular matter, I have my own reservation because of 1, 2, 3. You give your reasons. Now, sometimes you will see that sometimes in some areas, they nullify the vote. They say, okay, because there were too many irregularities and the people who were competing, they cannot come to an agreement.
Is that possible in
So we cancel in that area and continue. They do that. They do so in Cameroon. Many times they have done it. Many times they have done it in Cameroon. Even in 2018, they have nullified elections in many, many areas because people denied the result. They said they did not sign, they don't want it. So it's possible. But now the problem is, today people are breaking up everything and themselves have no evidence of whether they have won or they did not. Because if they had evidence, they would be just accumulating those evidences to go for the dispute, post-election dispute.
All right.
But because they know they have no evidence, they are breaking everything. And at the end of the day, people will be arrested. And they will have to until they reach the people who gave them orders. We could avoid that, Clarice.
Okay. I'll come back to you subsequently as we continue to analyze this. And let's go to Mr. Achille Eke. Still on this very important question regarding the law and the existing framework, and of course the question of trust on the ELECAM and also on institutions pertaining elections in Cameroon over the years. So, Mr. Achille Eke, we are in a state of quagmire, like we noted in our preamble. So, with Cameroon trapped at this particular moment, what is the way forward to navigate these complexities? We know that it warrants that candidates should apply for some sort of contestation to the Constitutional Council prior the announcement of the elections. And we know that other contenders, including Joshua Osia and others, have actually tabled some complaints before the court. Don't you think this was the right trajectory for Issa Chiroma, instead of proclaiming results and even calling for the outgoing leader to call and concede to the defeats?
Well, that's a very good question. The problem is Cameroon is not a normal country, all right? So whatever Dr. ALAIN-RUCH said, that works in a normal country, right? In the United States, in Europe, in many, countries in the world where democracy is respected, the rule of law is respected. In our country, the government itself is the one breaking the law, all right? So if you see what Mr. Atanganji did to Mr. Kamto, I mean, if that's not breaking the law, I don't know what breaking the law is. All right, so we've witnessed such situations like that happening over and over and over and over. Corruption is rampant. There's a budget that all these leaders of the CPDM have to go and corrupt members of ELECAM. ELECAM people are coming out themselves and saying it in video. No one is forcing them to talk. They are coming out themselves and saying it. In some instances, there's this guy in the eastern part of the country who came out. He was part of fraud and he couldn't sleep. He couldn't have a good night's sleep. So he came out himself. He said, in good conscience, I can't sleep in good conscience knowing what I've did to Cameroonians. He came out and he spoke out about the corruption. So all he's talking about, Mr. NGANTCHA, he's talking as if he doesn't live in Cameroon. I don't know if he lives in Cameroon or not. But the reality is otherwise. Everybody knows the law. Everybody knows, but everybody is breaking the law and trying to use the law to his own advantage. That is the situation in Cameroon. That is the situation. The government is trying to get to break the law, to use the law to his advantage, and Mr. Atanganji have shown it. We've seen opposition leaders doing the same. They try to prevent Mr. Kamto from applying, to be a candidate based on whatever happened in 2018. He found a way to go around it with a new party, but they still found a way to pick up somebody who was fired, dismissed from that party, to bring him up and then to announce him to be the current leader of that party, only after the Constitutional Council have decided to kick Mr. Kamto's candidacy out, only to go back and change the name. It's mind-boggling. Stuff that's happening in Cameroon it's not normal, man. So it's not a normal country. So if it was a normal country that people trust the system, trust the constitution, trust the law, trust the different institutions in the country, then we will say, okay, Mr. Chiroma was wrong to do that, or Mr. Kamto was wrong to do it in 2018. But those are people that are insiders. Chiroma he just left the government 3 months ago. Mr. Kamto was part of the government for 7 years. They know what is happening. They participate in that fraud themselves, all of them. before they left the government.
Do you think?
So when we sit here and try to analyze it as if it's a normal country, we are all wrong. We're getting that wrong. So what's your question? Say again.
No, actually, let me come back to you subsequently, but we're trying to clarify, actually, because if we want to contextualize, according to some reports at this particular moment, Cameroon is not actually going through just some internal issues, but then it is largely a geopolitical staker, and then understanding the dictate of diplomacy and international relations, we know that governments will always maneuver certain actions to be able to actually protect the sovereignty of the nations. It may be problematic at this juncture. We are going to come back to that, but while waiting on Dr. Elijah ENOAKU to bring more light again on the question, of course, how Cameroon is being entrapped in its own internal political web, and what is the way forward. If we're talking about the government respecting the law, and of course the opposition has actually gone against this law at this particular juncture, putting us at that level ground. What is the way forward? How can we maneuver this to ensure that we have a Cameroon as the nation that is democratic?
Clarisse, before I answer your question, give me a few minutes to really reply to something Dr. Alain has just said there, because I don't know if he's following issues in Cameroon or he's, belong to one party or the other. If he's following issues in Cameroon, he would have recalibrated what he just said there, because number one, if you are going by the law does not start on the day of elections. The law starts prior to the elections being taking place in Cameroon. The law of Cameroon states categorically that all voters should be posted. The list of electors should be posted a couple of days on the polling station before the elections take place. Maurice Kamto protested, went to the Constitutional Council and asked them that these should be respected. The Constitutional Council, as we know, is irreceivable, whatever that means. They don't receive it. Is everything that the opposition has taken to the Constitutional Council, according to the law of Cameroon, asking them to respect their own law, they have rejected it. So it has laid a groundwork of, number one, suspicion. Number two, they don't believe what is coming from the government bench. Number three, rigging even before the elections. That is what has created an atmosphere where people do not believe that anything that is going to come out from the Constitutional Council is going to be credible. So let us speak the facts. That is what is happening in Cameroon. The institutions that the government has put in place are not believable by the people. If the institutions were believable, if they were credible, if there was no fear of fraud or evidence of fraud, of course we would say that everybody should stay calm, wait for the Constitutional Council to declare the elections, and then we'll see who has won. But that is not the case here. What people are protesting is evidence of fraud that they see. He talked about the president in Bafoussam. The president in Bafoussam did not receive any instruction from Issa Chiroma, but the president in Bafoussam went clearly and showed the procès-verbal that she has in her keeping and contradicting EKANE. That is supposed to be an independent election body in Cameroon. Results of election contradicted what that woman had as her own copy. The person in the north, a member of EKANE, said, no, this is not what we came up with. The CPDM people in COM, if Mr. Alain has been following what has been happening, a CPDM member who was member of the Electoral Commission said, no, this is not the result that we signed. So the election body, when the election body of a country is found culpable, they are not credible before the elections, what do you expect the electorate to do? The electorate are there to defend their vote because they do not believe that election body is credible. So it starts way before the election. Now to your question, what is the way forward? Cameroon is a country. Now, let me just, time will fail me to read some statistics for you, where Cameroon rank on the international scene. Cameroon rank, I think, 192 in terms of poverty index. Cameroon rank, I think, 182 in terms of per capita income. Cameroon rank very, very low on the metrics that the global international organization are using to classify a country, whether it's on poverty, whether it's on peace, whether it's on stability, and so on. So we are dealing with a very fragile situation here. What is the way forward? I am calling on the authorities that be. I'm calling on the President of the Republic, whom I respect so well. You have served this nation for 43 years. With dignity, allow the voices of Cameroonians to be heard. Allow what people are aspiring for. And it will be an honor to you that you have actually allowed a free and fair elections to take place. Number two, I am calling on the opposition candidates, those who are claiming like Issa Chiruman for calm and peace in this nation. Let there be, a counting of these votes. We are going to see what the Constitutional Council is going to proclaim. And we know that there is fear in Cameroon that the Constitutional Council, from 3 elections that are passed, have always been in a position where they are not, for some reason. The very first one, the president of the Supreme Court said, my hands are tied. The second one that we saw the Constitutional Council just going along with the government bench. Now this one that we are going into, Cameroonians are already afraid that is going to be the same pattern that is going to take place here. That is what you see, what is happening in the streets. But I want to call on Cameroonians, on the Cameroon government, on the Minister of Territorial Administration to lower the temper, to lower the tone, because the tone that you use, and you're saying that, oh, there's Real Madrid, there is this and this, and you're already foreseeing, already proclaiming, because we are talking now saying that Issa Chiruman has already proclaimed results. If you listen to government bench that have been making pronouncements one after the other, they were telling you that nobody else can win other than them. If you look at their tone, that is sending a shockwaves across the global sphere that Cameroon is going down a wrong path. We want the voice of the people to be respected. We want the votes of the people to be respected. And after that, we can begin to look into what went wrong, because there seems to be fear along the government bench that if somebody else takes over, there is going to be retribution. We are not calling for a country where there's going to be retribution or revenge against anybody. We want progress for Cameroon. We want prosperity for Cameroon. Absolutely. So the way forward is that there should be a peaceful resolution of any election conflict. And number one, first and foremost, the voices of Cameroon must be respected.
So that we can continue to...
All right, the voices of Cameroonians should be respected. What we have been seeing across the country about electoral fraud and so on, it's a danger signal for Cameroon that we do not want the Cameroon to go the path of Central African Republic. What is happening over there? We don't want Cameroon to go through the path of Chad. We don't want bloodshed in this country. Therefore, let the voice of the people be respected.
Thank you, Dr. ENOAKU. Let me come back to you, Dr. NDIMANCHO. I think we continue to answer this very pertinent question about the internal political tactics of Cameroon and how the 2025 presidential elections have come to probably to bring it to the fore, putting us in a state of uncertainty regarding the position of the opposition, particularly from Issa Chiruman Bakari, and then the place of the government. Is Cameroon trapped in its own internal political web? And how can this 2025 elections be that litmus test to rewrite the political trajectory of the country?
Cameroon is in a dilemma. Those who actually thought they are the ones at the level of the authority in Cameroon, and that they could call the shots at any time, and that they could proclaim anything at any time, you see that a lot is actually going down a little bit by bit. I hear Dr. Elijah also mention of people like the Minister of Territorial Administration. If you look at since the week before elections, and then the day of election, and this week that started, you realize that the Minister of Territorial Administration has started piping down a little bit. Because what is the understanding? The understanding is that when the people stand up and ask for what they want, you can never stop them. I like the politician who said, when the people will stand up, even if you bring the whole of the French army, it cannot shut them down.
And I think Cameroon is not actually moving toward that.
Exactly. That is just to say that what? When we say that Vox Populi, Vox Dei, it is not just a statement. It is a divine statement. It is a divine feeling. It is a divine will that this statement incarnates. And when we say that it is not just about people taking up arms to fight, it is about those who are in power who even metaphysically are not able to contain the feelings of the people for a change. Let me tell you, it is not just about somebody taking up a gun against another person. No, it is also about somebody not able to stand the feeling of the whole population of Cameroon. It is important to know that. People will think that it is very easy for somebody to do wrong or to cheat or to rig elections and then go lie down and sleep peacefully. It is not easy. And that is why you find a lot of people confessing now. You find that there is somebody, the CPDM representative of Fundong, who even resigned. After all the manipulation, he came, sat down, thought about himself. His conscience judged him. He could not bear it. It was more than him. And he had to take his pen and wrote down, I want my peace. And therefore, I am resigning because of what I saw, what I discovered. See, these things are divinely shaped. It is very, very important for us to know these things. And I am saying that at one moment, you know, sometimes we understand with those who are in power too, Clarisse, that to be in power for 43 years, at that moment, you feel that the presidential palace is your home. And therefore, to leave it, it is very, very difficult. It is human. It is, I mean, you know, when you stay somewhere for so long a time, you begin to think that that place belongs to you. So we understand the sit tight of some of these people. You are a minister for 10 years, you are a minister for 20 years, you are a minister for 25 years. I mean, leaving that ministerial post or leaving power, at the end of it all, it is usually very, very difficult because this is what is being seen by those who have held power for so long. They are seeing it, leaving them. And what we are saying that, of course, when we say this, sometimes people, some people who are even afraid of the unknown, they think that it is just about the rule of the gun. It is not just about the rule of the gun, but it is about the concerted voices of the people. The people without the gun can make your administration ungovernable. And when the people say it is enough, know that it is enough, even they don't take up gun. We know of Nelson Mandela who said the pain is mightier than the gun. And we have always known that. You see, most of the Anglophones even in Cameroon know this statement very well because we have gotten our things in Cameroon, the GC board and all of the others, due to the pain and due to the voices of the people, that the people sit and decide that this is what is going to be and is going to be. It is not necessary by the gun. And I think that if this time around, which of course, this is what I perceive, if that Cameroonians have actually decided, and I must say this, Clarisse, since the elections day, there is no day I have not gone on the media. I'm on consult on the media almost every day. And on election day, I consulted on 3 different medias on the very day. We slept late in the night. And let me tell you, the popular feelings is that which I see like Dr. Elijah expressed there. That is the popular feelings of Cameroonians. And you are asking yourself, where was this feeling in the past? Why were Cameroonians not expressing this feeling? It is because the time has come for them. And sometimes when the time comes, and you do not want to give in to that time that is coming, the wind blows you out.
Don't we think this should have been happening after the proclamation? Should their expectations?
No, the point is, we are trying to preempt issues. And the fact is that when you wait until elections are proclaimed and the leader is chosen, where are you going to be able to?
We have to submit you know, contestations to the Constitutional Council.
Clarisse, we are in Cameroon. Let us not behave as if we are in space. Cameroon is a country that is being ruled by an arch. I don't want to qualify that adjective. We are in Cameroon. Let us be frank. You know, there are certain points. I'm a civil society. There are certain moments. A real civil society is someone who identifies with the suffering masses. And sometimes it is good to speak that truth. We cannot chew the words. I know that the media too is afraid to talk about this thing because the Minister of Territorial Administration has warned them about
the media,
entertaining.
I think, has been the watchdog. Remember,
exactly.
It's about protecting
exactly.
the sovereignty, the security.
Let me tell you, yes? I was on a major platform yesterday, and the moment the journalist who was coordinating was talking about, okay, we are not supposed to talk about who won, before he realized he himself was already talking about it.
And which is very fallacious.
It is fallacious, but let me tell you, you cannot stand by the moving water and disapprove of its current. It is very, very important to know this, that sometimes you should not behave as if you are not where action is taking place or where that you are very far from the people. It is very, very important that we look at how the election went, of course, and that is our point of discussion, that the election that was run, I mean, it is like somebody make the mention of Maurice Kamto. At one moment, you know, he was like somebody who drew the sleep or the from the eyes of the government and all the ministers. But at one moment, the moment that they thought they were they had succeeded to keeping away from it, their own very python was at the backyard running to come and take over. And that python is Issa Chiruma. They had fed that python so well, and now the python is ready to swallow them. We just have to base some of these things. These are things that happen in life. And we are saying that it is actually the will of the people that is supposed to be expressed. Because this is what we are clamoring for. They're the voices of the people, the aspiration of the people. I mean, what they have expressed, somebody somewhere should be able to say, yes, the electorate, they have spoken and we have heard. And that there is no way in which we can stand against this blowing wind, like the wind of democracy, which somebody claimed he brought to Cameroon. But it was a wind that blew from Eastern Europe. And that is the wind that we want to have now. That we should also be proud that at one moment in the year of the Lord, 2025, we had this wind that blew in Cameroon, and everybody went with it, accepted it as it, and that we are going to write our own story and start writing it again from afresh. As someone said, you cannot sit at one moment and know that you have never known any other change. Even for the own sake, change is very important, and that is what we are asking for. And one of the aspects of change is also accepting that there is somebody with you, that if you have succeeded, you should also accept that you prepare someone to succeed you, because I usually say that there is no successful person without a successor. And if somebody is reticent to, give it over power to another person, it means that the person failed. He doesn't have a successor, and therefore he didn't succeed.
Actually, we continue to analyze the stakes are indeed very high, but then not more than the Republic of Cameroon, a sovereign country, to address. It is about ensuring that the people live in a peaceful and serene environment to see that we have the Cameroon we want. Going back to Mr. ALAIN-RUCH Ngacha, still on the legality of the place of the law and the reaction from opposition parties, particularly Issa Chiruma Bakaria. You wanted to comment to the discourse presented by Dr. Elijah. We can.
Hello, Clarisse?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. I had to say something after one of our co-panelists made some remarks about fraud. I wanted to say, when we speak of evidence of fraud, there is something in terms of search for evidence. If you claim that somebody has committed a fraud, and in your own behavior, you commit the same, your evidence can never be accepted. And that's exactly another mistake that people who support Issa Chiruma did. They falsified the document, the letterhead of the UNDP, and they wrote to Issa Chiruma a letter to congratulate him from the Secretary General of UNDP, Pierre Flambeau-Gayet, had to go on TV and demonstrate methodically that a fraud has taken place. Everything. They have imitated everything and did it. That could be considered Constitutional Court. Yes, that the party of Issa Chiruma, any evidence that they have may have been fabricated. Because they have fabricated something that was not even necessary. What was the reason behind writing a letter to themselves on behalf of UNDP?
Dr. Alain.
How do you know that?
Let's allow Mr. ALAIN-RUCH to bring further. I'll come back to you, Mr. Eke. Let's listen to ALAIN-RUCH, please.
Things that they don't know, they just go ahead and start doing civil unrest and all those things. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they are committing crimes that are just compiling a lot of evidence against themselves. They need to know that before the election, we had to consider certain factors in terms of statistics. The distribution of seats in the parliament, in the Senate, in the cities, council, and all those things, and the membership of parties could indicate clearly who was having privilege, advantage over others. We have 8 million and 500 people who are registered to vote in a country of 26 million, close to 30 million people. We don't ask ourselves a question. Why is it that only 8 million people in Cameroon vote? When there are 26 million of people, 20 million are not happy, certainly, but they are not voting.
Okay. Can I respond to Dr. Alain? Because he's addressing what I said.
I'll come back to you, Dr. Elijah Inako. Just to note, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a Global Insight. And of course, we are looking at the high stakes surrounding the 2025 presidential elections in Cameroon. And of course, from the analysis, we see that so far, Cameroon is at a crossroad, and how can we actually navigate the crossroad and ensure that there is total peace and serenity after the elections? We are moving from this the question of political, uncertainty to now looking at the aspects of the geopolitical stakes with you, Dr. ENOAKU. While you were talking earlier on, I'm coming to you, please.
When you count all those people from the top to the bottom, you will see that the number, I'm saying the number of that is 5 million something. Means above the average of the electorate. Yeah. So let me come directly to the geopolitical implication of what is happening in Cameroon right now.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. We are listening to you.
Are you referring to me, Dr. Clarisse?
Mr. ALAIN-RUCH? I think we lost him again. Let's just ride off with continue the analysis with you.
Hello,
Dr. ENOAKU.
Okay, Clarisse.
The questioner earlier on.
Can you allow me to finish, because the connection between us is not okay? You were asking about the geopolitical implication of what is happening in Cameroon right now.
Sure.
Clarisse, can I speak now?
Who is speaking? Oh.
At this moment, we are just going to proceed with you, Dr. ENOAKU. And then just to come back to what you said earlier on your opening statement, you highlighted the wind of change blowing across Africa that has actually reached the Republic of Cameroon. So now we are entering the geopolitical dynamics of what is happening in Cameroon, also at the diplomatic level. Now, there are reports that Issa Chiruma is actually sponsored by the French government, and of course the reports also say that since Kanto, which was actually according to some revelations, was a stooge of the French government. Chiruma has been there to replace this and actually bring forth the French ideology and tactics to the Republic of Cameroon. Faced with this geopolitical, uncertainty, how can we now analyze this? With you, Dr. ENOAKU.
Thank you, Clarisse, for that question, which will help us to elucidate the risk that Cameroon is exposing itself to. But before I go there, let me just clarify. I want to clarify something Dr. Alain said there, because this is the talking point of the CPDM that has been propagated across the country of Cameroon, that because there are more members of parliament from the CPDM, therefore the CPDM is geopolitically positioned to win the elections, which is a fallacy, because members of parliament do not represent the electorate. I mean, in terms of casting votes, we are not in a parliamentary system where members of parliament will be voted and then they go to the parliament and vote a prime minister. No, we are in a presidential system where each vote counts. So that analogy is quite false. And number two, for you to use any doctoring of a document by somebody to say that UNDP was congratulating Issa Chiruma as an evidence of fraud that is equivalent to massive fraud that is being orchestrated by a LACAM, who are supposed to make sure that there's free and fair election in Cameroon, is another huge fallacy that you're making there. I don't know where you're taking that kind of a knowledge to compare apples and bananas. Anyway, let me go back to the question that Clarisse just asked me there. Now, Cameroon is strategically positioned on the Central African Republic in such a way that if Cameroon goes down, but God forbid, that's not what we're praying for. If Cameroon goes down, you are going to have geopolitical interest in Cameroon right now as we speak, because you're talking about reports. We also have reports that the French have come in and they're in Yaoundé, actually monitoring the situation and see if the government in place have the tools to navigate what is going to happen in Cameroon. We have that report already. So now they're geopolitical joking around the place and see. And Russia is also there at the next door in Central African Republic. They are looking, because Russia is already controlling Central African Republic. They are looking and gauging into Cameroon. Not only that, the European Union is also looking in and seeing what is happening in Cameroon. How is that going to affect their interests, and so on and so forth. Not only that, number three, if you look at the currency index, the CFA, right now as we speak, go online and check. You see the way the CFA is dropping. I'm talking about exchange rate between CFA and dollar and euro and yen and yuan and all other international currency. The CFA is dropping very drastically, telling you that people are afraid of what's going to happen in Cameroon. Number four, we are talking about capital flight that's going to leave Cameroon. A lot of international companies that are in Cameroon right now are looking at the situation and say, if chaos breaks out, what is going to happen? Some of them are withdrawing their capital. Banks are feeling the impact. International community is feeling the impact. What is going to happen at the end is that the economy is going to drop in a drastic way. It doesn't matter what metric you're going to use to measure what's happening in the economy. Cameroon is going to suffer if we have instability in Cameroon. And who knows? You already talked about Issa Chiruma Bakari. He was a member of the government. I do not have that memo. I do not have that report, whether they are working with the French or not. But what I know is that Cameroonians have spoken. Whether Issa Chiroma is working with the French or Chinese or working with the Europeans and so on, that doesn't really matter right now. What matters right now is Cameroonians have spoken and they say they want a new government. And what is happening right now is that people are angry because their voices are being thwarted, and a new candidate might, I say might, because we don't know what the Constitutional Council is going to do. We are hoping that they're going to respect the will of the people, but people are afraid that that is not going to be the case. And if that is not going to be the case, Clarisse, to answer your question finally, there is going to be a price to be paid. We're not talking about, like, you know, my colleague Dr. NDIMANCHO said, it's not all about the gun. No, we're not talking about the gun here or anything. There is going to be an economic price that Cameroon is going to pay, because there's going to be capital drain, the GDP is going to go down, we are afraid that inflation might come in. We do not know who is going to come in now, whether the Chinese are going to come in, or whether the Europeans are going to come in, whether the Russians are going to come in. So there is geopolitical risk that we are dealing with. And Chad is going to go down as well. Central African Republic is going to go down. Congo is going to go down. The whole region is going to feel the impact. So if the leaders in Cameroon understand what is at stake here, they will not go the route that they seem to be going right now. You know, I want to go with Dr. NDIMANCHO, who said that it seems, you know, the Minister of Territorial Administration is trying to temper down the atmosphere right now. We are hoping that things are going to temper down and the will of the people is going to be respected. If that is not going to be the case, God forbid that we pray that evil things should happen to Cameroon. God forbid. That's all I can say on this issue.
Indeed, Cameroon is very strategic, and I think that the government is also very tactical to ensuring that the country can navigate this probably uncertainty, political uncertainty, very well. That will actually not lead to further polarization. If I come with you, still looking at the geopolitical aspect of this, in times like this, there's already, you know, high level of propaganda, negative propaganda, to be precise, and we also have disinformation and misinformation taking ground across the national territory with you, Mr. Achille EKEU. You know, these are some of the aspects that we need to analyze pertaining the political sphere of Cameroon at the moment, to ensure that there is not that further vulnerability that will lead us to, you know, a state of greater uncertainty.
Yeah, well, you know, we are hoping that everybody is going to come to their senses, you know, especially the EKANE people who are organizing the elections. You know, if you have a structure that is supposed to be independent from the government or from any other entity, any other party, who is organizing the elections, and their members are the ones that are rigging the elections themselves, that is very damaging for the trust that people put into EKANE. And so, so if no one can trust EKANE, then think about other, you know, administration people who are all part of CPDM for the most part, because they have been appointed by the president or other ministers. You know, the prefects, sous-prefects, and governors, all these people who have been appointed by the president. And so they're just using, you know, using the opportunity that they have to win the election, you know, in however means necessary for them. It's so the elections Cameroon is to be blamed in what is happening right now. I believe that's the organization that they put in place that is corrupt. They allow corruption to be rampant within that organization, and so by doing so, they're corrupting even you know, people who are there to watch, you know, poll watchers, you know, that every party is supposed to send to watch the poll. They are corrupting even those people. So it's very difficult, you know, for a country like that. You know, we know they've been there for 43 years. You know, that Mr. Mancho mentioned, it's hard for them to leave the premises. You know, but they have to understand that, well, it has to start from the president. The president is the first person that has to say, okay, enough is enough. You know, this country needs a new generation of leaders. There's about 4 generations of Cameroonians that have seen this president, the only president that they've seen. So it's not normal that we have a country where only people 70, 80, 90 years are in the country when they, you know, in one instance, I noticed that the general, one of the generals in the army, he's still on duty while his son is already retired, right? So on the geopolitical front, Cameroon is a very important strategic country in the world. The position of Cameroon is very critical, and so every powerful country in the world would like to control that country, because in doing so, they can control the whole Central African region. So that strategic position, gives more responsibilities to the president of that country, of Cameroon, to ensure that, everything goes smoothly, that they set examples that, to other countries around them. If we see what's happening, that coup d'etat that happened in Gabon, for example, those are things that happen because the president are staying there forever until they're not able to do anything. And by doing so, they have corrupt people in the government that are trying to hold on to power and protect themselves from being tried for corruption, for embezzling funds, for all that stuff. So strategically, Cameroon has to be aware that they have a very important role to play geopolitically. And so they have to be strong, they have to lead by examples. And if they don't do so, it's going to be a problem in that whole region. So that's why everybody is watching what's happening in Cameroon. It's not just, Cameroon is not just another country. It's a very strategic country, and so they have to be mindful of that. And the government have to make sure that they don't, condone, fraud. They don't, they accept or admit fraudulent, cases of this type that is happening, because we have a feeling that all over the country is happening. It's rampant, and people are watching it, and they are just in awe of what is happening. And even though we like peace, Cameroon is a peaceful country. People like peace because we went to war with France for our independence. So so many people have died in many families. So no one wants to repeat that. But if the government is not doing its job as it's supposed to, and then letting corruption being rampant like it is right now, it's going to frustrate people, and people might do things that they really want to do. And that's very damaging. We see what happened in Northwest and Southwest. I don't think anybody planned that. Nobody planned to get in the morning and start fighting the government, no. So it's frustration after frustration with nothing being done, with some of the ministers that are arrogant, that are talking down to people. Those things are building frustrations and leading to situations that we cannot predict. And that's where we are right now. We're in a very dire situation now. No one knows what's going to happen. Mr. Chiroma feels that he won the election, and he might not be right, but if everything was going on normally without fraud, as we can see, then he might win or he may not win.
Are we
but
giving a reason for Chiroma's
right.
earlier declaration of vote, and of course what this has caused across the country? We have already seen the people shouting and probably
no, the people are protesting the fraud that they're seeing. There's nothing that Mr. Chiroma or his party said.
We are in a digital era, and we have seen what the AI has been able to do, and this is why we are actually trying to analyze, to ensure that the country itself is not, plunged into so much uncertainty due to circulation of fake news and other,
that was always going to happen. We are in an era of AI, internet. Fake news always exists. We're not talking about that. We'll talk about facts on the ground, like people that are confessing that they have done wrong to their country, their citizens, to their countrymate. People that have evidence, of, corruption, fraud. People who are admitting that they got, offered 30 million francs CFA to change the result of election. People are admitting that on video. Nobody is forcing them. So those are the things that we talk about. We don't talk about anything on internet. So, and that is, and those are all what we see, all members of ELECAM for the most part, and that is very damaging for ELECAM. And so that's what we're talking about. You know, we are in a very dire situation right now. We have to be very careful. It could go either way if people are not very careful, and we don't want that.
All right, thank you so much. Before I come back to you, Dr. DiMancho, let me just see if everything is okay with ALAIN-RUCH NGANTCHA. Will continue to have his own perspective regarding the geopolitical stakes of the situation in Cameroon at the moment, given its strategic location in the Central African sub-region, and also looking at how the government can navigate both the internal pressure and external pressure at this moment, and of course how the government can position the country to ensure sustainability in terms of peace. You know, we are still trying to see that peace returns completely to the restive regions of Cameroon, that is the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. Mr. ALAIN-RUCH?
Is he there? There's internet connection.
Hello, sir? Unfortunately, it seems the internet connection isn't really good, but we are going to continue while hoping that he actually joins us subsequently. Dr. DiMancho, you know, from analysis so far, we've been hearing the will of the people. You know, in political discourse or in times like this, we have different ways of interpreting the different discourses or talks presented by various actors in a country. Can we elucidate more what the will of the people actually represent in the case of the October 12 presidential elections in Cameroon, and of course the ramifications of the will of the people should, after the the proclamation officially of the election results by the Constitutional Council come October 20th or 26th?
First, the will of the people represents the weakness and the failures to deliver on political promises. Of course, that one is the first thing that we have to note, because that is the only way in which the electorate can punish politicians, is that they disown them. And the best way to disown them is through the ballot box. That is the first thing. The second thing is that what we saw on Sunday is a renewed desire to see a new Cameroon. Remember that we, over the years, I mean, for those of us who are used to maybe giving our opinions on the media, we have analyzed a lot of countries in Africa in terms of elections, even our next door, Nigeria, here. I remember at one moment when Nigeria was going into elections, we were able to say how Nigerians in one spirit at one moment during the last elections, there was a lot of enthusiasm for Nigerians to go to the polls. And you see the beauty of elections. You see the beauty of campaigns. You see the beauty of politicking. And then we are asking ourselves, what is wrong with Cameroon that we cannot copy even from our next door? We saw Kenya. We saw other countries. And then you saw the enthusiasm that goes to elections. And you just see Cameroonians sitting there like zombies. Nobody feels that it is just okay to be where we are.
But their comment seems so radical, which is detrimental.
It is not radical. That is how the wind of change blows, Clarisse. If you think that, remember that in Cameroon, we will only vote again after 7 years, except Issa Chiroma comes and says that.
You're actually declaring.
No, I'm not declaring. Let me. Issa Chiroma, now he represents now the new. Let me tell you, the stakes are between two people. The stakes are between Mr. Pobia and Mr. Issa Chiroma.
There's
no other person.
That in the
yes.
preamble,
So
yes.
if I talk about Mr. Chiroma, I'm just talking about an alternative. And the only alternative we have now after Bia is Chuma. And now we are talking about the renewed feelings that people have for change. Means that if people have a renewed feeling for change, means that the change is from who to who. Means the change is from Pobia to...
What about the other opposition leaders that are calling for you know, cancellation or even partial...
No, don't mind. Don't mind. They are playing their one-man show. You know that when a horse falls down, it jerks off its legs. That is what is happening to other opposition leaders. And I must tell you that towards the end of the campaign period, you saw that the other candidates just got missing. Many of them got missing because they didn't even know where they were and they didn't know where they were going to. It is important. And some along the way gave their, their support to other candidates. This is important. And one of the things that we are asking at this point in time, you are asking what should really happen at this point in time. It has happened in other countries, and Cameroon will not be an exception. Because, as we speak, even Mr. Pobia knows who has won, whether he is the one or another candidate. He knows already whether he is the one who has won or another candidate. And if he knows that it's another candidate who has won, it is just very loyal and peaceful. Maybe just to say, call the other and congratulate. We have
just one week to go. I think that patience is something which is very imperative.
See, you should not wait until the last day. When you wait until the last day, it means that we will interpret to mean that you have tried to change things and it didn't work. I really expect the Constitutional Council not to wait until the 27th to declare the winner of this election. When you wait until the last day, we will interpret it to mean that you have tried and tried and tried. Either you have succeeded or you haven't. And let somebody not come and say again that our hands are tied. This time around, we're losing the hands. So we are saying that it has happened in other countries whereby you find other candidates who recognize the fact that the country is bigger than us. The country is bigger than our ambitions. And that this is, we have listened to the electorate, and it's high time we want to avoid a situation that you have heard the electorate speak, and you just have to give in. It is important. Even our next door Gabon here, they got something beautiful at the end of it, even though it was masquerading. But you saw that because some people are even, I learned, SAIKA was talking about people complain that Issa Chirumoa has left from government, and now he, you see, who was Mr. Olingi? Mr. Olingi was the bodyguard, the chief bodyguard of Omar Bongo.
Yes.
Of course. And we accept the fact that Gabonese are happy today just for that change. And that this is somebody who has even left the ruling party and is still ruling. So sometimes you know that when you step foot in an arena where there is dirt, you want to sweep it because that is where you want to lay your head. And we think that when you come in new, you actually have eyes that see very far from someone who has been there. And that's why they usually say in an African proverb, it's a Cameroon proverb, even that an Ubrum, whatever, and the aspect of an Ubrum means that what? You have been somewhere and that you know the wars of that place. And that even when somebody leaves the ruling party, and that is what we're expecting, because many people had hoped that the CPDM would present a different candidate. Let me tell you, people will have still gone for that candidate that came from the CPDM, because they expect that at some moment you just have to come anew, and then you see something new, and then you bring in your own perspective about certain things. So it is important that we accept the fact that we do not want anything bloodshed. Secondly, no chaos, no violence is accepted in Cameroon, because after everything, we enjoy the peace. Of course, we were on a mission in Congo, and beautifully from the ex-minister who said, despite all of what is happening in Congo, we still love the peace that we enjoy, because there is nothing that you can value more than peace. But then, when someone refuses to give you the peace that you want, I say, if a child refuses that the mother won't sleep, the child himself won't sleep. So I think that all of us need peace, be it the president who is in Yaoundé, be it the minister, because when you even have the routes that are bad, it is not just the low people down there who are suffering from the routes that are bad. And the sanction that the electorates you have been asking gave to the ruling government is the fact that the routes in Cameroon are in a very despicable condition, and that is the sanction that they wanted to give. That the economic crisis actually in Cameroon, it is a pity. That the prices of goods and services in Cameroon are skyrocketing by the day. The price of fuel is going up. Electricity supply is epileptic. Water supply is a problem. Health services are a problem. The educational services are a problem. And you, like Mr. Dr. Elijah said, you see that the franc CFA is dropping. I just saw today was something like 600 francs to $1. I mean, where are we leading to? Where are we going to? I made a transaction today in India, and it was surprising that the little money I had was, I had to go to fuel again my card because I didn't know the franc CFA has even gone, and I had to pay in dollars. So it is a problem, and that is a sanction that the electorates want to give, that the new person should be aware that if this is a signal, you should already know that this is what they are going to judge the new person on. So it is actually an issue that all of us, that we are declaring that we do not want war, we do not want violence, because we have seen what that has given in other countries. We have seen that what that has given in Sudan. We have seen what that has given in other countries, and we will not want to come. We used to say that Cameroon is, a peaceful country, is an island in a temperance region. And of course, we are proud about that. And we are also proud about the fact that Cameroon is what they call the continent. And I remember the last December, the President of the Republic made mention of the issue of the continent, and he himself even asked whatever that means. I know that he knows exactly what that means. That, of course, well, we are proud of that. I went somewhere and some people say, hey, you are coming from the continent. I said, yes, I'm from the continent. It is very important for us to be proud about some of these aspects, and we can go on naming the past glories that we have. Why are we only living in nostalgia? The world is changing. The world is changing very fast. And you see, with the aspiration of the youth, the world is changing. Are we going to remain in the same place like old people, like zombies? And that is why Cameroon doesn't want even dual nationality. You know why? Because they know that those who are over there, people like Dr. Elijah, people like SAIKA and all of us, they are already knowledgeable. They are into, computer. They are into the Android world, and they know exactly what it means to transform a country. They don't want them to come because we are being ruled by people who are old and they do not want any change. We need to be tolerant in this. We need to be flexible. We need to accept this, and this is a sanction that the electorate is giving and saying that we will want dual nationality, we will want the country to change, we will want to follow from the changes that are going on in the world, that we will not remain behind and be ruled by people, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. It is a multi-polar world now, and I think that each nation across the world is actually redefining policies to be able to make use of the advantages of a multipolar world. And Cameroon is not left out, and I think the new era of for Cameroon will be written after the official proclamation of the election results, and of course, and that is why a platform like this is giving us an opportunity for constructive analysis, checking the governments, checking the people, and seeing what the country needs to, to protect at this juncture of multi-polarity, so as to, enjoy indeed from the fourth industrial revolution that countries are already living. We cannot forget to mention Rwanda, but then we wouldn't want to see that Cameroon becomes Libya, after the Arab Spring. Some countries are yet to recover, and that is why we are coming to you, ALAIN-RUCH NGANTCHA. If you are already there, we want to understand fully well at this juncture. There is a balance on the role of the government and the role of the people, and we see that each party still has a lot to play, but then the government being the one taking all decisions internally and externally that would define the future of countries, has a larger portion of the responsibility. Now, how can we, the government, strategically navigate this position to ensure that there is no destabilization in the country?
Thank you, Clarisse. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, please.
Can you hear me, Clarisse?
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you 5 on 5.
Yeah. What I would say is I listened to the co-panelist from the US who was mentioning the impact that could continue on the whole sub-region of Central Africa, CEMAC, and beyond that. It's true, but how do we go about it will determine whether such impact will the reason why a person like President Biya had to remain in power for so long is not because he wanted to stay in power. I bet to tell people today that it's not because he likes power that he stayed there. He had a mission. Aidjo committed a mistake, acknowledged that mistake, and the person who helped him understand how to get out of it was Paul Biya. And that mistake to be corrected had to go until 2008 for the refusal of renewal of the colonial agreement between France and Cameroon, and its enforcement from 2010, which made a person like Marafa to go to jail.
What are we talking about here?
Are you still there, Mr. ALAIN-RUCH, please? Please, it is actually, let's actually listen. It's imperative to get people's opinions before reacting. You know, we have the right to our opinions, yes?
It might, it sounds funny, right? But it's not. That agreement was revised. So what we did is we took time to explain to people between 2010 to 2020 to ensure that the majority of Africans understand what happened not only to Cameroon, but to all the French-speaking African countries. We are the ones who, for the first time, exposed this colonial agreement and its implication in our economy. Laurent Gbagbo went to jail because he followed the footsteps of Paul Biya not to renew it, and he was sent out by the President Ouattara, who was picked by France to come and resign it, and he did it. Today, people from the layperson will think that Ivory Coast is growing fast economically, but none of that can benefit Ivory Coast itself from France. Today, Paul Biya has secured the underground resources of Cameroon, which are all strategic resources that are right now targeted, not want to lose at that end. We have started to explore and even exploiting most of our resources. And we have the liberty to sign agreement with any other country that we want, and there is no 50-50 with France on it. But before that could happen, France, to preempt that project, has to pick up somebody who will listen to it and who will bring them back to that game. They did it in Mali, they did it in Burkina Faso, they did it in Niger, and they are about to do it in Cameroon. People will see it funny because they don't want to understand what is beneath what is happening right now. Chiruma, when he resigned, where did he go first? To the French embassy. Because that's exactly where this political engagement this time was supported. And now our resources, which are really strategic resources, are about to be given to French people should Chiruma succeed in this game. We know, and he knows, he has no evidence that he won. He has not even a single evidence that he could even be among the favorites. He has succeeded in a few days to become a possible head of opposition, but he will never be able to win. Okay. He will win because the 58 PVs of all the regions have been found, they have been compiled, and his people have signed. So if his people have signed, he cannot contest them. We have to wait to see who will come out of that, because after compiling the 58, they will have to gather all to the Constitutional Council for verification and confirmation.
Is there a possibility of that,
He already did not agree to everything that will come out of it. So, other regions, other countries in the area, we must know Cameroon is the heart of Central Africa in terms of economy and everything. And those countries will not even survive if Cameroon really falls down, like the brother was saying just earlier today. But we can avoid that by really allowing the will of the people to prevail. But we have a problem there. What is the will of the people? Which people are we talking about? Because when the brother says the people need change, the will of the people must prevail. Which people are you talking about, people? Those who are majority making noise but who don't vote, and those who are minority making no noise and who vote. If those who are breaking everything around, if you catch them, I challenge everybody about that. If you catch those who are committing arson and all those things in Cameroon, you ask them to show the voter tax. They don't have it. And that's the problem. That's the problem, because those who are breaking everything, they don't vote. Those who vote trust what they voted for. And they are waiting for the result. But those who are breaking everything, most of them did not vote.
Mr. ALAIN-RUCH, I don't know if you can hear me. Let me interject.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, let me interject and bring this question to you. You know, we stated already that Cameroon is in a state of uncertainty at this moment, because when we are looking at, you know, the, I don't know if we should look at the level of satisfaction of Cameroonians in terms of, you know, basic amenities, in terms of, you know, their living standards. A whole lot of people, according to popular opinion, you know, from the Vox Pop we conducted on the streets of Cameroon, there are a whole lot of criticisms against the government in place, not only about the fact that the leader has been there for long, but then they're looking at the level of infrastructure, which according to them is very, very, it's at a very negative level, which actually impacts negatively, you know, foreign direct investment, and also in spite of the fact that Cameroon is a law enforcement nation, it shows that the respect for law has deteriorated at every level, and this explains why there are a whole lot of you know, issues to be tackled. So at this juncture, what is that you know, the strategy that the government can present at this just a note, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in, you're most welcome. We're almost culminating with today's edition of Global Insight, and we are analyzing the stakes which are very complex in Cameroon at this juncture, as the nation awaits the official proclamation of the October 12th presidential elections. Now we already identified the stakes, but now there is need for the way forward. If you're back and you can hear me, Mr. ACHILLE EKEU, what is, yeah, okay, the question is, what has to be done strategically that will protect the integrity, sovereignty of the nation?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, what we need to do, the government has to do, is respect the law. Okay. You know, in a serious country, when we call for elections, we have to be prepared to lose the election. It doesn't seem like the government currently is prepared to lose, was prepared to lose the election. But you have to be prepared to lose when you go to, when you go to an election or to any competition anyway. Every time there's a competition, there's a winner, there's a loser. So you cannot be winning all the time. Sometimes you may lose. So, and when you lose, then you have to play fair. You got to accept your loss, and then you go back and then you prepare again to come and win the next time. So that's what everybody's doing. So, but to prevent people or to suppress the voices of the people, using different means, using the administration's powers and assets, it's not fair. It's unjust. That's the kind of situation that will create troubles in the country. No one wants trouble. No one wants to go to jail. No one wants any issue. So the government has to respect the result of the people, and the opposition also have to respect the result of the people. It goes both ways, right? So if they lost fair and square. But if you lose by cheating, it's like a football game. You go to a football match, and suddenly the referee decides to put a penalty against you at the last minute without even the ball being in your camp. It decides penalty, and then it's a fraudulent, it's an egregious fraud. So you're going to protest. So you don't want that happening. So I think we all agree, Mr. Atanganji, the Minister of Administration, Territorial Administration, has been tempering down his fury sometimes. The way he talks to people is found to be disrespectful. But I think he's been tempering those things down. But the will of the people remains the underlying importance here. The important thing that has to be done by the government and by other parties is to respect that will. And respecting that will means not falsifying, not tampering with voters, ballots, voters, PV, what we call it, PV, and all the documents of the election. Not tampering with that. If you tamper with that, then that would be cause for protest and rejection. So that's the best thing I can come up with in terms of what do we do now, what do we do going forward. We have to respect the law, all the parties.
Okay, thank you so much. I think this question will be coming to you, Dr. Elijah ENOAKU. At this juncture, now that Issa Chiroma has claimed victory, and we also see that other Cameroonians actually rally their support behind Issa Chiroma, but then we have the Constitutional Council that has to announce the election results. Should the winner not be Issa Chiroma Bakari, how can Cameroon then ascertain the stakes of that era? Because at this moment we cannot tell the real stakes is from the predictions that we have. How can we ensure that we navigate strategically the post-election proclamation era to ensure that there is no polarization? I think that is what we are avoiding at this juncture for Cameroon.
Clarisse, is the question to me?
Dr. Elijah ENOAKU.
Okay. Clarisse, you're asking a question which seems like, okay, if the winner is cheated, what should happen? Should Cameroonians should fold their hands and sit quiet and just accept the elections? I do not have the crystal ball to answer that question and say, this is what should happen. What I can answer is, first and foremost, just echo what my colleague in the United States have just said. Let the government, what is the cost? What's the purpose of organizing a $6 billion cost of elections when you already know the winner? What's the meaning of that? it's meaningless. Let's just say Cameroon is in a monarchy, and then cancel all elections. No elections. We know that we have a king. So what's the point if every single election we know who the winner is, and the point of organizing an election is just a show, or it's just camouflage and so on? It doesn't make sense, because you're using close to $6 billion of money that would have been used to construct roads and do other things. Let's just say Cameroon is a monarchy, and we go from there, and everybody say, okay, we agree it's a monarchy. We need to see how we're managing a monarchy, and if you have some crumbs for the Northwest people know that that's the little crumbs for you. If you have something for the extreme North, that's all for you. It makes no sense to organize elections when you're not ready to accept the result every single time. It's a camouflage. And let me ask these questions. Are we 30 million imbeciles in Cameroon and only one intelligent person? Is that what it is? For more than 40 years, we have 30 million imbeciles who cannot rule, cannot do anything. Nobody can rule the nation. Nobody can do anything. It's only one person, because that's what those of the ruling party seems to be projecting, including my colleague here, Dr. Alain, who's just said Paul Biya is not there because he wanted to be there. And let me just, cancel some fallacies he just made there. The reason the French, why the investment of the French has gone from 40% to 10% is because the Cameroon government has gone to China to look for easy loans. Therefore, Chinese investment and Chinese loans have flooded the Cameroon, treasury, because the French will be giving you a loan for about 10%, but the Chinese will give you the loan for about 5%, even though with draconian strings attached. And that is why the investment of the French has gone from 40% to about 10% in Cameroon. It's not because there was, Paul Biya has renegotiated the treaty that was signed between de Gaulle that says that almost before Cameroon goes to any other country, they should seek French interests. No, those treaties are still in place. They have not been renegotiated. So Paul Biya has not done anything about those treaties. So don't try to give credit because, French investment in Cameroon has reduced. Therefore, Paul Biya is trying to disentangle Cameroon from France. No, that's not the reason. It is because Cameroon is always looking for cheap loans, and the country is in debt as we speak. Do you know how much Cameroon borrowed for these elections? Even prior to the election, do you know how much the government of Cameroon, Paul Biya, signed for a loan for the Cameroon government? It's crucial that we understand where Cameroon is going and understand that the stakes are high for this country. The stakes are high that if we, at this juncture, allow chaos to reign because somebody who has won the elections has been stolen. We saw what happened in 2018. We do not want chaos in the street. All of us, all the panelists, nobody has advocated for any chaos in the street. But when you completely destroy the aspirations of the people, when you reject the votes of the people, when you do not count, when you feel that Cameroonians, their voices, it doesn't count. Whatever you vote, it doesn't count. If you say this person has gotten 80% here, and then they come back and say, oh, it's 20%, you're telling the people, it doesn't matter what you vote. We know what the result is going to be. It doesn't matter what you say. We're going to tell you who the winner is. It doesn't matter who you are. We are going to impose on you. Are you telling me that Cameroonians, we should just say, Cameroon, don't say anything, just go about your business, don't say anything? It is not right. What we do not want is chaos on the street and war and so on, but to say that people should take injustice and just be quiet and so on and not say anything and not speak up to injustice, it is wrong. It is always true that when injustice becomes the law, resistance becomes the duty of the people. That is why people need to speak up against injustice in the nation. Because this country belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to those in government. It doesn't belong to a certain tribe. It doesn't belong to a certain group of individuals. It belongs to all Cameroonians who had duly have the citizenship of Cameroon. It doesn't matter what the government is trying to do about those in the diaspora. We can talk about that later on, but we are Cameroonians. And everybody in Cameroon and out of Cameroon, we are contributing to the growth of this nation. And we will fall together or we'll grow together. If the Cameroon government thinks that they own this country, they're making a big mistake, a very big mistake. Change will come in one way or the other. Change will come to this nation. I guarantee you it will happen in one way or the other. Yes, we don't want war. We don't want people dying, but change will happen in this country. They might feel invincible right now, but I'm telling you, just like somebody said, you might bring the whole army of every country. We're not talking about war here. We're talking about the will of the people. When the people are determined, it will happen sometime along the way. But yet, again, we want peace, want tranquility. I do not have the crystal ball to tell you what's going to happen. If the winner is cheated, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I don't have that crystal ball to answer the question clear right now. But again, I hope ELECAM and the Constitutional Council do the right thing and declare the will of the people. That's all I can tell you, Clarisse.
I think I should be rounding up with you, Dr. NDIMANCHO. When you look at reports from ELECAM and some of, talking to ELECAM officials, they pointed out that the opposition parties were not largely represented in all polling stations, and actually giving reasons why there are no factual claims by Chiruma for leading the elections, given the predictions from the polling.
No, that is one of the loopholes that the opposition in Cameroon has. They fail on their GOTV. What is GOTV strategy? GOTV is go get out the vote strategy. This is usually the last strategy that the opposition or any party that wants to win election gets into. You mean? And the GOTV strategies include actually providing logistics, providing the polling agents and all of them, and taking care of them. But the opposition parties somehow largely failed on that. But I must say, Clarisse, that we follow on the online polling of this election, which was much more intense than the last year. And even the counting of the vote at the polling stations. And you, at one moment, you didn't even want to know whether the opposition were represented there or not, because the way that the voting was done. I must tell you that when you see places where, like up stations in Bermuda, where majority of those who voted were the military, and the military won. And in most places where you thought the ruling party was going to win, it was the opposition. I mean, everything was glaring. It was shown. There was screenshots shown all over. And therefore, we at one moment, sometimes, so as I was talking about change, when the change needs to come, you do not even need to be there to say that you are the one defending or whatsoever. Despite the fact that the opposition didn't have the means to actually deploy the election observers around the country, I even think that there are some CPDN election observers who played in favor of the opposition. This is what happened this year. Are you interested to even know that where even the president of the republic voted? I mean, it was shown, as I said earlier of this program. Yeah. There is no law that prohibits the proclamation of election at the polling station.
The prediction.
Exactly. That was shown on the board. It is shown. And that was done like that in the whole country. And therefore, we saw what happened. And that is why, tentatively, we can be able to talk about the person, suggest a person who, at least who made the greater strides. And it's important. So it was not, this year was not an issue of the opposition providing polling agent and all of that. It was an issue of the Cameroonians who, in one person, decided that they would change the trains. And of course, they decided inclusively with those of the ruling party who decided for change too. And that's what I'm just telling you, that we are shocked with the result that we got from some polling station, where even in military barracks, in some military barracks, we saw screenshots where they are the opposition that won. So it was a year of change. It was a year of change, and I would just think that we just have to accept it like that. There are certain things that we cannot put on. So do you think
actually the National Commission for the final counting, because there is actually cross-checking ongoing already, that after this we're going to really have a solid statement from the government?
We are supposed to have a solid statement from the government, and there's one thing, as I said, we have been following up this election since Sunday, but I must talk about one irregularity that happened after the elections. After the election, we expected the director of elections to speak first. But the person who spoke first and talked about the fairness of the elections was the Minister of Territorial Administration. Of course, we, the civil society, we root and condemn that. It is not the Minister of Territorial Administration who was supposed to talk about the conduct of the election. It was the Director of the Election who did. The Director of Election spoke some hours after the Minister of Territorial Administration has spoken. And this is how we see that institutions in Cameroon are politicized, and this is what we are decrying. And you cannot see white and say it is red. You cannot see black and say it's yellow. So these are some of the things that we're decrying. But we are saying that the organ that is habilitated with the prerogative, with the responsibility to check the voting, to check and proclaim it, should be given the full right. Let nobody come and mingle. We even saw the mingling of the Minister of Territorial, starting from when the candidates were being selected, pre-selected for the presidential election. We saw a lot of, invisible hands from the administration getting into. But we just think that, well, we would not want to hear somebody say, as he said, maybe in 1992, that his hands are tied, and just what I'm talking about. Let thorough checking be done, and the person reading should be sure that this is exactly what obtained. I know the reason is always the Constitution can usually say that I am not in the field. It is the LECAM that is in the field. That our duty is just to read. But I think that somebody should do his job. Somebody should do his job. A LECAM should do his job. The counting commission should do his job. And this is what we are asking for. If everybody does his or her job, we think that the proclamation is going to be welcomed by all and sundry. It is just like sometimes I talk about world peace. If there is no peace in the family, there will be no peace in the world. So from the nucleus, from the smallest point of view, there should be. We already even got, some irregularities from some polling agents of opposition who were bribed by some other parties, to sign wrong PVs. This happened. And even prior to the election, because we monitored what was happening the day before the election, we saw some polling agents of opposition actually who refused at the 11th hour not to go to the field because they had taken money. All of those irregularities, we saw them, and we think that it is something that we are supposed to judge and correct for the future.
Absolutely, yes. It's about correcting and ensuring that Cameroon is actually, a state with practical laws respected from the lower level right to the top, to ensure that there is real progress and development. We are going to round off with you, ALAIN-RUCH NGANTCHA, hoping that the connection will allow us to connect well this time around, as you give us your concluding statement on the way forward.
Thank you, Clarisse. I don't know if you can hear me.
Sure, I can.
I will not have much to say this time. All I can, on both sides.
Unfortunately, we can't connect so well with you, Mr. ALAIN-RUCH NGANTCHA. Okay, just to let you, ladies and gentlemen, to know that we have come to the end of today's edition that focus on predictions and events which followed the October 12 presidential elections, and we are going to come back subsequently post the results proclamation era to continue to analyze with an objective of bringing constructive analysis that will redefine the new trajectory for Cameroon. I think ALAIN-RUCH is still connected.
The connection is not so good.
Go ahead, please, if you can hear me. Unfortunately, I want to take this opportunity to thank you gentlemen for the insight. It's of course a tough moment, and at the end of this discussion, we are arriving the conclusion that Cameroon apparently is in a state of quagmire, given the analysis tabled and a call for action, particularly from the governments to ensure that they protect the peace, sovereignty, end of the country, given its strategic position, and of course that the bodies that be it particularly the final counting commission meeting already in the nation's capital city of Yaoundé, that the outcome will actually reflect the activities that happened on the 12th of October, I beg your pardon, 2025. And of course, thank you for your great insight. We want to apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for the interruptions which we couldn't actually control. And thank you so much for trusting the Pan-African television as we continue to analyze the stakes involved. It's actually a new dawn for Cameroon, a new dawn for Cameroon to redefine its political tactics to ensure that internal political dynamics of the country will be favorable enough that will position the country at a very strategic position in a multipolar world. Thank you so much, and hopefully we are going to join you in the days ahead as we continue to analyze stakes of utmost importance threatening Cameroon and the African continent. Why not the global world at large? Thank you and bye.
This program was brought to you by Globos.